Do you have to use filtered water when making tea? Is tap water just as good when it comes to the overall flavor of a tea? These are questions we would like to answer today in our latest tea experiment. Whenever I'm traveling, I'm always the first one to notice that the tap water's off. I may not taste the difference as much when I'm just drinking a glass of water, but when I'm preparing tea, the difference is staggering. I've heard people say that it doesn't matter so much whether you use tap water or filtered water, so I really wanted to put it to the test. For this experiment, I will be using the Gyokuro Cha Musume, one of our more popular green teas. To keep the amounts equal, I will use a level tablespoon of leaves for each. When it comes to a tightly rolled tea like this, 1 level teaspoon of leaves is usually about 5 grams. If you have a scale at home, you can also measure out 5 grams of tea, which we recommend whenever possible. If you don't have a scale, a tablespoon works just fine. First, I heated up some filtered water to 60 degrees Celsius, which should be the ideal temperature for this Gyokuro tea. I was using a standard Brita filter for this experiment, but I'm sure you could also get good results by using pre-filtered mineral water or a built-in sink filter. I poured the heated water into a glass with the strainer positioned on top. I normally would use a Kyusu teapot for this, but I find that strainers can often be helpful for side-by-side tests because there's less variables to worry about. As we discussed in previous tea experiments, it's key that the strainer you use provides enough space for the leaves to open up and release their flavor, and this one works really well for that. After letting the tea sit undisturbed for 2 minutes, I quickly removed the strainer, dumped out the tea leaves, and loaded it up again for a second tea. This tea was made using tap water, and the water had already been heated up to 60 degrees, so it was ready to go. Where I live, the tap water is clean and safe to drink, but there's a lot of calcium, which is one of the worst things for tea. I had had bad experiences with using this tap water for tea, but I had never tested it in a side-by-side experiment prior to this. After 2 minutes was up, I removed the strainer and compared the two teas. At first glance, there are no real differences between the two. The filtered one seems to be slightly more green, but overall they're about the same, more or less. When it comes to the taste, however, the two teas are quite different. The tea brewed with tap water was not bad by any means, but it lacked the complexity I was used to for this particular tea. The tea was still pretty enjoyable, but I felt like something was missing. When I shifted over to the filtered tea, it hit me right away. With some of these Gyokuro teas like the Cha Musume, there is this distinct cantaloupe melon note that I can get. I didn't notice it before with the unfiltered tea, but I got it here with this one. While the calcium in the water did affect the mouthfeel and the texture of the tea as much as I thought it would, it completely removed the complexity and top notes of the tea. It was like the flavor of the tea was clouded, so you could only get a basic understanding of the taste. Unlike with other drinks, the flavor of tea is super subtle, so you have to be really careful you don't introduce anything to the water that might compete with the flavors. Even the tiniest difference in water quality can overshadow some of the more subtle tasting notes and lead to a less engaging drinking experience. If you really want to get the most out of your green tea, you should really go for filtered water over tap water. Even if your water is safe to drink, just from the perspective of taste, it's worth getting a small charcoal filter to take out some of the excess calcium or magnesium that may be in your water supply. Thank you all so much for tuning into our latest tea experiment. If you have any questions about tea, or if you want to give us suggestions for future experiments, please feel free to do so in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future tea experiments. We're trying to make this a regular thing if there's enough support for it. We also have many other tea videos on our channel if you want to learn more about tea, where it comes from, how it's made, and how to prepare it. I hope to see you all next time.